Over 200 protesters, including minors, these were arraigned at the Federal High Court in Abuja following their involvement in the recent End Bad Governance protests. Now, reports from the courtroom revealed shocking scenes with some of the detained minors collapsing due to poor health conditions, leading the presiding judge, Justice Obiora Egwatu, to briefly excuse himself because he couldn't take it. Following this incident, President Bola Tinubu has called for a review of charges against these minors and directed the Minister of Justice and Attorney General, who has requested for the case file himself, of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, to make recommendations.
Now, this story raises significant questions regarding the legal and human rights of minors in protest and also the psychological effects on young people thrust into the judicial system. And first of all, you've taken a look at our report from our correspondent, Emmanuel Bagudu, who has been in the courtroom following the proceedings since this news broke. And he has also been taking the reactions from government officials as well as judicial officials, the defense team, as well as the prosecutors on the side of the government. And Emmanuel joins us live now from Abuja. Emmanuel, I must say, well done, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's always sad that we have to pull you out from church on Sunday mornings, but the service to humanity has to be done. Emmanuel, let me just start by saying, we've heard about the minors who collapsed in court due to ill health. But I want you to help us paint what the atmosphere was like in the courtroom as Justice Egwatu couldn't even stomach that sight and had to excuse himself. You know, how did the other legal team react to the minors' conditions and situation?
No. I'm sorry, Emmanuel, can I add to that? Did he leave out of disgust or out of empathy?
Wow, you guys are just bombarding me with questions, man. Because, I mean, for the first time in my life, I've seen this kind of thing. A sitting judge, Obiora Egwatu, excuse himself at the middle of a sitting. Quite embarrassing, quite disheartening. I mean, let me start with Mazino's question. He left out of empathy. My report said he left in tears because I literally saw Justice Obiora Egwatu put his fingers on his eyes while leaving. So it's not something to hide. It's not something to pretend about. Not something to mince words about. So embarrassing and so disheartening. It's an unfortunate situation. The atmosphere. Then going back to this question, the atmosphere in the court was tensed. Somebody like me, I have to subject myself, and some of my colleagues, we have to subject ourselves to some kind of mental, therapy to actually get this thing off our head, because it's something that it is unheard of in Nigeria, in the entire world. I mean, how will the international community be seeing Nigeria? What is the nature of our human rights index in the international scene? These are the questions that beg for answers. I mean, I don't know. That's the situation. That's what I can tell you about the atmosphere in the court. Yeah.
And Emmanuel, let's look at the police officials' stance regarding their detention. I mean, it's coming as a shock. 93 days in detention. How have they justified the charges brought against the minors, especially with allegations ranging from terrorism to treasonable felony?
93 days in the IRT, and then that's for the minors, and then of course for the adults at Kuje prison. Now, in fact, the funny thing there is that the politics involved. Talking about it in terms of numbers, initially we thought these minors are not, these accused persons are not up to this number. When you say they are, when I say that I calculated 163, and another person is reporting 200, another person is reporting 119, that tells you that a lot of politics involved in this protest issue. When they are reading the charges, they said, and others at large. It simply means that these police guys, if they have an opportunity to arrest more people, they will still arrest them and put them in the dock, or dock them, or rather put them in incarceration. Now, what is the justification of putting, keeping protesters for 93 days who are minors? Is something that Nigerian government have to explain to the world, because you cannot just explain it as a human being. You cannot just analyze it as a human being. When you are trying to report this kind of stories as a reporter, you are trying to balance the story to make sure that you don't take side. It's so difficult. It's so difficult. If a sitting judge can excuse himself in tears without thinking whether people will think he's biased to the side of the minors, who am I as a journalist to start thinking that I have to, because it's something that's so confusing. How can you report this kind of story without actually putting some kind of emotions to it? This is a professional aspect that I keep asking myself, and I think it's a challenge for me. It's a challenge for me. So talking about the justification for keeping people for 93 days is pure politics. There's no way you can just talk about it. It's pure politics. The government of the day doesn't want anybody to come, spoiling their name. They don't want a bad image. That is the reason why they have to go that far in keeping children, including accused persons, including minors, for 93 days in very, very, very unhealthy conditions. I can literally count their ribs. These malnourished children, I can literally count their ribs. They collapsed right in front of me in the court. I was the only journalist in that court as at when it happened. Because I was in the court as early as 8 a.m. 8 a.m. on that day. So it happened right in front of me. I was the only person. Both my colleagues later joined me, and then, of course, when I saw my colleagues and me somewhere like that, I just become consoled. At least a lot of us are now together in the scene. So I was calm. So justification for keeping people for 93 days, including minors, is pure politics. Pure politics.
Bagudu,
the life of children is something that we have to think about. Yeah.
I want to pull your emotional strings for just a bit now. You just stated that you were there right from very early, and you saw these minors and also perhaps maybe some of the individuals that can be considered adults walk through into the court. Now, when you saw these minors, what feeling actually came forth from you? Did you feel like this is just I don't want to prompt you. What was the feeling that came from that visual, from witnessing that?
Yeah, the feeling that came to me is about the future of Nigeria. These are children that are below 18. I mean, look at the future, our own future. I mean, for instance, if you release, what came to my mind is that, for instance, after this, what will become of this child that is growing up? What will he be thinking about Nigeria? And we're talking about a total of 76. Now we have 76 citizens below the age of 18 facing this kind of thing. By the time they are out of prison, by the time they are out of detention, at least the president, thank God, the president and the Attorney General of the Federation now, show some interest. Now, by the time it's more of a damage control. Now, what will happen? What is the fate of these children when they're out? What would they be thinking? That's what came to my mind. So, supposing they are out of this detention, what would be their thinking about Nigeria? Would they ever think that Nigeria has something for them? Would they ever think that there's hope for this country? The hope for this country? Would they ever think that they have a responsibility of realizing the Nigerian dream at their age? Those are the things that came to my mind. And that should be that. I believe that's what everybody's mind. Yeah.
Right. Emmanuel, before we let you go, I also have to ask about the families of the minors that were there as well. What was their reaction? Was it the first time for them seeing the children? What walk of life do they come from, the social strata? And just when interacting with them, did you get a chance to interact with them and have a feel of them? And what was that like for you?
Yes, like I said, I interacted with a lot of them. I interacted with 2 parents. And then, of course, some few people who are within Abuja that came to sympathize. Now, these children were arrested from Gombe, FCT, Plateau State, Kaduna State, and Kano State. Now, I interacted with 2 parents, one from Kano and one from Zaria. They spoke outside to me. The first person I spoke to, told me that his son was just in front of his house on the day of the protest, while police just came and picked him and threw him inside a police van, take him to the police station, and then later transported him here to Abuja. The second parent I spoke to was the woman whose husband died long ago. She later remarried in the wake of the protest, and she has a baby. She only sent her son to go and buy something for her in the market on the day of the protest. So on his way back, he was picked and thrown inside the police van, taken to the police station, and then later returned back to Abuja. Transported to Abuja. These are the kind of experiences the parents, narrated to me. Then, of course, I also had this gentleman from Abuja who told me that he's currently a Hausa man. He's currently hosting 19 parents who came in from Gombe and then Kano and then Zaria to come and rescue their children from the hands of the Nigerian police. Their belief is that they are going to secure bail. I later didn't find out whether they got the bail, but I believe that at least since their children are below 15, they should be among the ones that were given those bail conditions, those bail. So what I'm trying to say is that parents were there, siblings were there, friends were there, all to just come and sympathize with these minors. And it was so unfortunate that the situation has to be like that. But we thank God that the President and the Attorney General of the Federation are intervening in the matter. Yeah.
I can only imagine what their reaction was like when they received the judgment of a 10 million naira bail plus the level 15 civil servant surety. What was it like when they heard that judgment? Just very quickly, because we're pressed for time.
Yes, Judge, 10 million naira bail, and then of course, we know it's close to impossible. Securing that bail condition is just impossible. Why would a 14-year-old, 15-year-old boy get someone to stand in for him? 67 persons, 10 million times 67. Supposing one person wants to take a risk of being a surety for the 67 person, how much would that be? I think that is what prompted the human rights community, the civil society community to come in and then, force the presidency and the Attorney General of the Federation to intervene in the matter. I mean, they knew that it's not possible, and everybody knew it's not possible. So, I mean, everybody knew immediately they heard that those bail conditions, they knew it's not possible. And it gave the issue a different dimension. And that was why the presidency have to intervene. Hopefully, as we begin a new week, we are going to see how development unfolds. Yeah.
Okay. Emmanuel Bagudu, I want to say thank you very much. And we really appreciate the level of work that you bring to this program here, that you were there and that you have expressed to us verbatim exactly how you saw it. Thank you very much. We appreciate this.